Okay, let's continue with the notes for 1B. This will be part 2. I've previously filled out a lot of this just to make the video go a little bit faster. So let's take a look at number 7 up here. You can see it gives us some information. So the first thing you should always do is take that info, they're telling you what each of these little segments is, and put it on your picture. Okay, so you can see here I've put on my picture what these two little ones are and what this big one is, or the long one is, and that gives me an idea that segment addition will tell me this little plus this little equals the big. Okay, so I'm going to show this all to you, and if you need to stop the video and copy it down, you can, but I'm just going to talk through it just a little bit. So setting up our equation, little plus little equals big. When we work that out, we get x equals 2. You notice the directions say find each value, so x equals 2. To find sk, I'm going to put it into this expression, get 21. To get ky, I'm going to put it in this expression, and I get 13. To get sy, I can go over here and 36 minus x, 36 minus 2 is 34. Or I can even go little plus little gives me the whole thing. So 21 plus 13 would give me the whole thing. So that's just a little review from the segment addition. So let's talk about midpoint. Maybe you've heard of that before. Here are all the notes that we're going to go through. So if you want to stop and the video and write them all down and then play it, and I'm going to talk through those. So the midpoint of a segment is a point that divides the segment into two congruent segments. So two equal pieces. So the midpoint of a segment, segment AC, the midpoint divides this segment into two equal pieces, or congruent segments. See these little marks on here? That is an indicator in geometry that those two little pieces are equal. So segment AB equals segment BC. If I have a line or ray or a segment that goes through another segment or intersects a segment at its midpoint, it is said to bisect the segment, and it's called the segment bisector. So line L, okay, goes through the midpoint. So line L is going to bisect the segment. So we call line L a segment bisector. So that is here in the diagram. B is the midpoint, and since line L goes through B, we call that the segment bisector. All right, I'm going to do one example, and then you're going to stop the video, and you're going to do the rest, and then we'll talk through them. Okay, so here's the first one. Q is the midpoint of PR. Find the value of x. So midpoint is dividing a segment into two equal pieces. So PR is divided into two equal pieces. So this little piece equals this little piece. Before we were adding them together. These two are equal to each other. Sometimes I just remember at the midpoint I put an equals between them, and there's my equation. Okay, so let's write that equation. 7x minus 16 equals 4x plus 2. You'll notice it's not adding segment addition. This is midpoint. So subtract there. I'm going to add this one over here. X equals 6. They said find the value of 6. I am done. Excuse me, find the value of x. I am done. So I want you to stop the video now, and I want you to work through number 9 and 10 and 11, and then I'll come back and I'll show you what the answers are. Alright, so here's what you should have done for number 9. Check a couple of things. Again, when I read the directions here that this is a midpoint, H is a midpoint, those two segments are going to be equal. Sometimes you'll see it on the picture with these two little hash marks on there. Okay, look at the equation I wrote. Those two little pieces are equal. Solve it. Go back and ask what they want you to find. So find GH. So I look over on the picture. GH is 5x plus 2. Substitute that value in. I get 17. What do you suppose I would get if I substituted it into this side? Yeah, if if these two are equal, because this is the midpoint, this should also be 17. Is it? 9 times 3 minus 10 is 17. You can just kind of double check yourself. Here's number 10. Again, read the directions, look on your picture. What are some things you can do on your picture that will help you set up your equation? Well, these two little pieces are equal because they just told me R is the midpoint, so these two pieces are going to be equal to each other. There's my equation, solve it. They want me to find QS. So QS is the whole thing. Well, I don't have anything associated with the whole thing except these two little pieces. So if I can find the two little pieces, then I can add them together to get the whole thing. So we can kind of combine the midpoint one and the segment addition. So come over here. I know that the big one equals these two little ones added together. So I substituted in the value of x into both of those, and I got 38. Well, that's a good thing because they're supposed to be equal. This is the midpoint. They're supposed to be equal. So if they're both 38, 38 plus 38 will give you 76. That is the length of QS. And the last one. This one's a little bit trickier because they have x's and y's in the same problem. But let's just go through the info they have. G is the midpoint, so that should tell you right away that those two are equal segments. I'm going to take those two little segments and I'm going to put them equal to each other. That will help me find x, hence this piece right here. X is 5. But they want me to find y. Well, y is here, and I know x. So you got to kind of think, how am I going to get from x to the y? This expression right here represents FH. So if I take x is 5 and substitute it in here, I can know how long this little piece is. Same thing over here, substitute it in here, I'll know how long this little piece is, and that will tell me the whole thing that this will equal. So I'll come over here, substitute it in, I get 23. From F to G is 23. G to H is 23. That means the whole thing is 46. Still don't have y. But I do know 6y minus 2 is going to equal 46. So you can see here, you're going to solve, you get y equals 8. That's what they wanted me to find. Done. So if any of these you weren't sure of how to solve them or why we did what we did, please reach out and I'd be glad to help you.